Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy today's episode.
At this moment, a large number of high-level bloodline races like the Titan God race, and even top-notch bloodline races like the original Spirit race were looking at Venus with determination in their eyes. They were all determined to obtain Venus. Even the other middle-level races and weak races yearned to obtain it. This was because they saw the hope for their race to make it and become masters or even take another step forward from this race's divine artifact. Just like the consensus of the myriad worlds, this Venus was a race divine artifact that could uplift the entire race. Everyone would be tempted. Even Zhou Zhou was no exception. Zhou Zhou thought for a while and looked at the goods below. Apart from Venus, there were also other goods sold on the first day. Day 1 merchandises. Star Annihilation Cannon, low-tier deity level elementary grade. Quantity: 1. A star annihilation cannon with the power of a god spirit. It can be parked in space to guard a planet or placed on a spaceship. It can be used as a conventional weapon in a spaceship. After fully accumulating energy, a full-power cannon can destroy a regular inhabited planet in one strike. It can also be used in battle with a low-tier deity. Selling price: 10,000 obscure lord shop points. Elementary Sun Energy Shield, low-tier deity level elementary grade. Quantity: 1. A planetary protection facility with defense at the level of a god spirit. It can absorb the light of the supreme star, sun star, to accumulate energy and set up a defense layer for the planet. It can defend against attacks at the level of a low-tier deity level. It's a basic planetary defense facility. Selling price: 10,000 obscure lord shop points. Blue Bird, low-tier deity level elementary grade. Quantity: 1. Basic god-tier spaceship. Its normal sailing speed is 1 light-year per hour. After entering the dark universe, it can reach 100 light-years per hour. It can preliminarily satisfy the actions of the lords of all races in the active universe. Selling price: 10,000 obscure lord shop points. Potential Advancement Potion, low-tier deity level elementary grade. Quantity: 10. God-tier potion that can increase a life form's potential to the low-tier deity level elementary grade. It has the right to become a god spirit. Selling price: 1,000 obscure lord shop points. Spacewalker class change certificate, kingdom level soldier type. Quantity: 10,000. Hunters walking in space can exert extraordinary combat power in space and can use stellar energy and spatial power to fight. Selling price: 100 obscure lord shop points. Heavenly Knight class change certificate, Empire tier soldier type. Number: 100. Famous top soldier type profession in the universe. Cultivates the gravity technique and controls the power of gravity. Use the Star Core Spear as a weapon and contract a Star Spirit as a mount. Organizational Heavenly Knights can fight Divine Kingdom soldier types with the corresponding array formation. Selling price: 1,000 obscure lord shop points. Universe Legendary class change certificate, Divine Kingdom soldier type. Quantity: 1. One of the strongest soldier type professions in the universe. Cultivate the main body's universe technique and open up the universe in your body. You don't need any weapons. You yourself are the strongest weapon. You have telekinesis that can overturn the universe. With a thought, the galaxy can reverse and time can reverse. Selling price: 10,000 obscure lord shop points. Note: after purchasing all of them, you can obtain a mysterious item. Mysterious goods are formed according to the situation of the Lord of all races. You can obtain goods that meet the needs of the Lord of all races. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows slightly after reading them. Of the 6 items, he didn't care much about the first 3. However, the last 3 items really surprised him, especially the last one. The Universal Legendary class change certificate. There's actually a Divine Kingdom soldier type for sale? Zhou Zhou was surprised. There was no need to say how powerful the Divine Kingdom soldier type was. It was an existence that could easily fight 10,000 people at the same level. Even after entering the God Spirit realm, Divine Kingdom soldiers could easily fight 100 Empire tier soldiers who were also God Spirits. The weaker soldier types could even fight 1,000 people alone. It could be seen how powerful this soldier type was. He did not expect that it would be sold. According to the hint above, these are just the first day of merchandise. It'll be refreshed after today, so one have to be fast if one want to buy them. Moreover, there is still a mysterious item if one exchange for all of them? I wonder what it will be. But a mysterious product that can be specially annotated shouldn't be bad, right? Zhou Zhou pondered. However, he was also a little conflicted. He wanted to exchange for Venus, a universal race divine artifact, and buy all these goods. After a long time, he sighed. I thought I was already very rich, but now one realized that I'm still very poor. He shook his head and wondered how the other lords were doing. He suddenly had this thought. Then, he opened the channel of the Lord of all races. However, just as he opened it, he discovered that someone at him. At Blazing Sun Empire, Lord of the Blazing Sun, big shot, why did another heaven-defying lord appear in your human race? What's with that mortal lord? Do you know him? How did he manage to be ranked first as soon as he entered the Lord of all races rankings and obtained more than 20 billion hegemony points? Which divine kingdom lord faction did he destroy? I remember the spirit venerable big shot of the 10,000 spirit race said that they had the race behind them send experts to help them defeat an empire tier lord faction. He was only rewarded 100 million hegemony points. This more than 20 billion must have defeated a divine kingdom lord faction, right? It must be right? Is it possible that the mortal lord is the Lord of the Blazing Sun, but the Lord of the Blazing Sun is in disguise? Disguise? Are you saying that he can deceive the Supreme Will? That's really amazing. If that's the case, I'm willing to call the Lord of the Blazing Sun the strongest of us all. Please think before you speak. Disguising himself? Can one fool the Supreme Will no matter how much one disguises? This is clearly another invincible lord of the human race. What about the common people's regal? Why didn't I see his name on the rankings? I feel that common people's regal is holding it in. I think so too. The common people's regal will never give up on the second stage of the event. He's already first in the first stage. How can he not participate in the second stage of the event? He must be holding it in. One don't care about the common people's regal anymore. I'm only concerned about the second stage of the Lord of the Race's activity this time. I feel that I'm probably going to fight to the death. Did you see that Venus? It's really the best. It's no exaggeration to say that whoever can obtain that race divine artifact will be able to bring their race forward by a large level. Those top races will definitely slaughter the weak lords of the myriad races for this Venus to obtain a large number of obscure lord shop points. One feel that I'm finished. I have similar thoughts. The races behind the lords of all races can send some experts to participate in this lord event. This will only make the strong stronger and the weaker. Even though the Supreme Will has given us 1 trillion goals on the surface, I estimate that less than 1 trillion lords of all races might survive in the end. You guys are exaggerating. I'll listen to you guys. My body is trembling now. What should one do? Zhou Zhou looked at the contents of the chat between the lords of all races thoughtfully. The effect of this twin body was really not bad. These guys had already begun to imagine things themselves before he could say anything. Not bad. They were right. The second stage of the Lord of the Race's activity this time would probably beat the brains out of the lords just for this Venus. However, I'm going to redeem it today, Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. He had more than 1.5 million obscure lord shop points now. It shouldn't be a problem to spend another day earning 2 million points. At this moment, the ministers were almost done discussing. The scene gradually quietened down. When it was completely silent, Bai Yun was the first to stand up. Your Majesty, with our current strength, it's almost easy for us to sweep through all the lords and factions of the myriad races. Only the indigenous lord factions and cosmic organizations in the active universe need us to be more careful. However, with our strength, there's actually no need to worry too much. In addition, we now have the mortal empire as an alias. Therefore, I suggest that we directly conquer the Lord of all races in the active universe and increase our ranking on the Lord of all races contest. Even if we attract a lot of attention or even use hidden methods, we'll just deal with it when the time comes. One believe that no force can stop us, Bai Yun said loudly. Her tone was extremely confident. Wu Xin, who was fighting alongside her, could not help but smile in relief when he saw Bai Yun's confident, steady, and bold appearance. This student of his was already much more outstanding than him. When the other generals heard this, some fell into deep thought, some nodded, and some remained silent. However, almost all the generals did not show any fear. Following that, the shepherd's god race's Yuan Tsong also stood out and said, "I also think Legion Commander by makes sense, even though this move is a little ostentatious and eye-catching. However, this is what we should do with our strength. Furthermore, what we're facing now is an event personally set up by the Supreme Will. If we keep being timid for the sake of caution and cause us to lose what we should have been able to obtain with our strength, we'll regret it when the time comes." As soon as these words were spoken, many generals agreed. Then, the chaos humans, Ning, the human true god, Suan, the human true god, Luo Shang, the divine lord of Behemoth, Collier, the Shadow Clan true god, Tarokal, and the Rakshasa true god, Shuechenale stood up and said that they wanted to attack with all their might. As a mortal empire, they wanted to welcome the second stage of the Lord of the Race. Seeing that everyone had the same opinion, Zhou Zhou smiled and nodded. Well, with his current strength and faction, there was indeed no need to be too cautious. This was also because he didn't want to waste the mythical tier-only Lord talent, Twin Body. Otherwise, he would have wanted to compete for first place on the hegemony rankings as a true lord. Then, Zhou Zhou did not waste any time. He immediately got the generals to prepare and immediately returned to the Cerulean planet. Zhou Zhou had just returned to the Cerulean planet when a text notification appeared in front of him. The Lord of the Race Second Stage Activity Notification 1. At 8 in the morning sharp in Cerulean planet, you will welcome a base camp defense battle and a base camp offensive battle. You can arrange the time of these two battles at any time on that day. Please prepare for the battle in time. The Lord of the Race Second Stage Activity Notification 2. When you obtain a consecutive win in the base camp defense battle or the base camp offensive battle, you will be matched with stronger opponents the next day. The Lord of the Race Second Stage Activity Notification 3. When you don't complete the day's headquarters defense battle and the headquarters offensive battle, you will automatically be considered to have given up your status as a lord. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. He was trying to force a match again. But then, his brows relaxed. He was no longer the Lord of the Blazing Sun from the Lord Arena. The current, he wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. We'll start the base camp defense battle now. The current him wouldn't be afraid of any enemy. Just as he said that, a new text notification appeared in front of him. Match in progress. In less than a second, the words, "Match successful," appeared. Your Majesty. An unfamiliar planet suddenly appeared out of thin air 99.36563 kilometers in front of our planet. Zero's voice appeared beside Zhou Zhou's ear. At the same time, a virtual screen appeared in front of him. It was a verdant planet. Green was the main color of this planet, and there was not even much blue that represented the sea. At this moment, the virtual screen was pulled to a plane on the surface of this planet. There was a stone city gathered on the surface of this plain. This stone city was primitive and desolate, and there were more than 1,000,000 goblins gathered inside. In the center of the stone city, there was a yellow stone platform. On the yellow stone platform was a yellow stone throne. On the throne sat a strong and sharp-eyed goblin king in black armor and holding a mace. He was looking up at the blue planet 1,000,000 kilometers away. Zhou Zhou also looked at him. Then, a sinister smile appeared on both sides. Match successful. Your opponent is the green planet goblin race, Lord Giant Tooth. This lord has 525,000 hegemony points. This lord has obscure lord shop points, 11,300. The number of consecutive wins of this lord, 0. From now on, you will defend against the enemy's attack until the end of this day or the other party is destroyed. You will obtain victory. Otherwise, you will fail. The base camp defense battle has officially begun. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly. This opponent was not bad. Judging from the other party's hegemony points and obscure lord shop points, the other party should have completed the first stage of the Lord of the Race's activity early and immediately went out to fight. That was why he obtained so many points. If this continued, he might be able to enter the rankings in the end and successfully participate in the third stage of the Lord of the Race's event. Unfortunately, he met him. Bai Yun. Lead a team of soldiers to deal with the other party. Zhou Zhou ordered. who said that the defending side could not directly attack. "Yes, Your Majesty," Bai Yun said respectfully. Now that she was already at true god-tier intermediate grade, she naturally did not feel any pressure when facing a lord faction of the myriad races that was at most a low-tier deity level. Soon, he led a team of 100 people and rushed towards the other party's Green Plains planet. At the same time, the giant Tooth Lord also saw the match notification that appeared in front of him. Match successful. Your opponent is the mortal Lord of Earth. This lord has 20,615,652,000 hegemony points. This lord has obscure lord shop points. 1,589,700 obscure lord shop points. The number of consecutive wins of this lord, 0. From now on, you will attack the enemy's base camp as the offensive party until the end of today and successfully occupy the enemy's base camp. Otherwise, you will be judged to have failed. If your offensive fails, you will automatically lose your status as the Lord of all races. The main camp's offensive battle has officially begun. The giant Tooth Lord did not look at the information of the successful match immediately. Instead, he looked at the humans and Zhou Zhou on the cerulean planet from 1,000,000 kilometers away. It's actually the Lord of the human race. A sinister smile appeared on the ugly face of the giant Tooth Lord. He knew humans too well. This was because his initial territory on the high continent was adjacent to some human lords. Later on, they were all wiped out by him with his troops. Moreover, the difficulty of eliminating it was almost 0. Those humans seemed to have never experienced a battle. They were extremely flustered when they encountered a battle and only competed in running faster. Not many humans dared to stay behind and fight them head-on. Occasionally, a few humans would boldly want to fight them head-on, but because they lacked combat experience and no one helped them, they were easily destroyed by the goblin warriors under him. Goblins were weak. If you were strong, they were weak. If you were weak, they were stronger. In the face of an enemy stronger than the goblins would act more obedient and timid than slaves. However, when the goblins encountered the weak enemies in their eyes, their combat performance was comparable to unparalleled fierce generals. Therefore, when the humans showed weakness, the goblin warriors led by him easily eliminated those human lords and occupied their initial territory. When he saw the humans on the Azure planet again, the corners of his mouth were about to reach his ears. The first opponent was actually a human. It was really the blessing of the ancestor. As long as this human wasn't the two freaks, the Lord of the Blazing Sun and the Mortal Lord, Giant Tooth Lord was very confident that he could crush him. After all, he was a low-tier deity-level Goblin King. Even among the Lord of all races, this single-target combat strength was considered the top at this stage. Let me see what kind of background this human lord has. Giant Tooth Lord leisurely looked at the matching information in front of him. Then his face froze. This. He widened his eyes and stared at the name of the Mortal Lord, as well as the ridiculously high number of hegemony points and obscure lord shop points. There's no mistake. Currently, the only lord from the human race with this number of points would only be this Mortal Lord. My first opponent is actually such a freak. Giant Tooth Lord looked flustered, completely losing the calmness and conceit he had when he first saw Zhou Zhou. At this moment, he saw 101 streams of light fly over from the blue planet and quickly fly above his head. The female general looked immortal and heroic. She had the ethereal charm of the immortal Tao. I'm Legion Commander Bai Yun Xian of the Mortal Empire. I'm here to destroy you. She shouted. I surrender. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Giant Tooth Lord broke out in cold sweat as he surrendered loudly. Our mortal empire doesn't accept just any opponent. Bai Yun sneered. There were actually many grudges between the goblins and humans in history. Coupled with the other party's personality of bullying the weak and fearing the strong, as well as the other party's weak strength, Bai Yun did not want to take him in at all. Go and destroy them. Bai Yun said calmly and commanded the yellow talisman Dao soldiers and forbidden mage behind her. These 100 Empire tier soldier types all had legendary tier strength. When they heard Bai Yun's order, they immediately moved out. The yellow talisman Dao soldiers were in front, and the forbidden mage was behind. They turned into 100 streams of light of various colors and rushed towards the million goblin warriors. How arrogant! Giant Tooth Lord could not help but feel furious when he saw this. Just 100 soldiers to attack his million-strong army. Didn't these soldiers of the mortal empire know how to write the word death? Even if their strength was legendary tier, they were not god spirits. Didn't they know that ants could bite an elephant to death? Kill them. The Giant Tooth Lord immediately ordered. Yes. The million-strong goblin army roared in unison. Swish, 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 swish. At least 100,000 goblin warriors immediately soared into the air and flew towards the 100 yellow talisman Dao soldiers and forbidden mage. Then, an extremely contrasting scene appeared. The 50 yellow talisman Dao soldiers were like tigers entering a flock of sheep, killing fearlessly among the more than 100,000 goblin warriors. The forbidden mage behind them also began to chant an incantation and cast a forbidden spell. Legendary tier advanced grade forbidden spell, Fiery War. Legendary tier advanced grade forbidden spell, Ice Aeon. Legendary advanced grade forbidden spell, Super Violent Storm. Legendary tier advanced grade forbidden spell, Flame Explosion. Large-scale or super powerful single-target offensive forbidden spells were released from the staffs of the 50 forbidden mages and swept through the million-plus goblin army. It was almost just one round. More than 200,000 goblins were either dead or injured. As for the yellow talisman Dao soldiers that were charging in front of them and protecting them while killing, they were not injured at all under the precise control of the forbidden mage. If other mages saw this scene, they would definitely think that it was amazing. That was an incomparably explosive forbidden spell that could be controlled so perfectly after all. However, this was just an ordinary method for the forbidden mages under Zhou Zhou. Then, the forbidden mage fired another 2 rounds of forbidden spells at the same time, destroying most of the goblin army that the Giant Tooth Lord was proud of. Giant Tooth Lord was stunned when he saw this scene. Was this the strength of the Lord who had reached the top? Was it really reasonable to be so strong? He no longer had any thoughts of continuing the battle and had only had one thought now. Stay alive even if he had to give up his status as a lord. Therefore, while he was fighting happily in front, he quietly walked to the back of the army and turned into a stream of light as he fled into the distance. It's too terrifying. No wonder he could obtain so many hegemony points and obscure lordship points in 3 days. Just 100 people are already so strong. If their army were to attack, the Giant Tooth Lord could not help but shiver when he thought of this. He felt that even a divine kingdom lord might not be able to defeat such an enemy. At this moment, he suddenly stopped. This was because a forbidden mage wearing a platinum forbidden mage robe was floating in the starry sky and looking at him quietly. It was as if he had been waiting for a long time. Giant Tooth Lord was also shocked when he saw the other party. However, when he sensed the other party's strength and aura, his expression could not help but turn ferocious. A mere legendary tier advanced grade mage dares to stop me. He really doesn't want to live anymore. The Giant Tooth Lord was furious and immediately opened his mouth to bite the other party. A huge mouth phantom appeared in the starry sky and ate the forbidden mage. The Giant Tooth Lord had used the law of devour to become a low-level deity. This move was his initial law skill, and also the only law skill he had grasped. He attacked with all his might, even though he looked down on the other party. However, legendary tier advanced grade forbidden spell, God-slaying musket. A faint voice sounded. Then, a 10,000-meter-long fire divine spear appeared in the starry sky. The next second, it directly transformed into a flaming spear shadow that pierced through the law of devour. Then, it paused slightly and pierced through the Giant Tooth Lord again. The Giant Tooth Lord widened its eyes and gazed at the huge hole in his chest. He could not believe that he possessed died just like that. Then, the light in his eyes gradually disappeared until they completely lost its light. Lines of text appeared in front of Zhou Zhou with the death of the Giant Tooth Lord and the death and surrender of most of the goblin warriors under him. Congratulations, you have defeated the Green Planet Goblin race, Giant Tooth Lord, and obtained the victory of this base camp defense battle. You have obtained all the hegemony points and obscure lordship points that the other party has. You have obtained the reward for this base camp guard battle: 1,000 hegemony points, 100 obscure lordship points. Your latest hegemony points are 20,620,912,000. Your latest obscure lordship points are 1.6 million, 1,100 points. You have completed today's base camp defense battle. You have received one consecutive win point. The accumulation of winning streak points will allow you to obtain more hegemony points and obscure lordship points after the battle. However, it will also match you with stronger opponents and even match you with the local lord faction in the universe. You still have a base camp offensive battle that has not been completed today. Please complete it in time. Is it done just like that? Zhou Zhou shook his head. As expected, it was only the first battle, so it was destined to not be difficult. I'm going to start today's offensive at the headquarters, Zhou Zhou said calmly. After quickly completing the 2 battles today, he got his clone to lead the troops to battle. The hegemony points and obscure lordship points provided by the base camp defense battle and the base camp offensive battle were still too little for him at the moment. The Lord of all races had only just started the second stage of the event after all. The points in his hands were pitifully low. In the last few days, the lords who survived would more or less have more points in their hands. Match in progress. Match successful. Your opponent is the Fire Python Starfire Python race, 3-headed Fire Flood Dragon Lord. This lord has 381,000 hegemony points. This lord has obscure lordship points, 9,900 points. The number of consecutive wins of this lord, 1. From now on, you will attack the enemy's base camp as the offensive party until the end of today and successfully occupy the enemy's base camp. Otherwise, you will be judged to have failed. The main camp's offensive battle has officially begun. Zhou Zhou looked at this winning condition and pondered. If the offensive party wanted to win, the conditions had to be harsher. He had to take down the defense to win. Otherwise, he would lose. Unlike the defensive side, even if he couldn't take the initiative to attack the other party like him, as long as he kept defending the other party and lasted until the end of the day, it would be considered a victory. He shook his head and didn't think too much about it. The 3-headed Fire Flood Dragon Lords sounded impressive. However, in reality, be it in terms of military strength or strength, they were inferior to the Giant Tooth Lord just now. In less than a moment, Bai Yun led the soldiers back victorious again. At the same time, a victory notification appeared. Congratulations, you have defeated the Fire Python Starfire Python race, 3-headed Fire Flood Dragon Lord, and obtained the victory of this base camp's offensive battle. You have obtained all the hegemony points and obscure lordship points that the other party has. You have obtained the reward for this base camp guard battle: 1,000 hegemony points, 100 obscure lordship points. Your latest hegemony points are 20,624,720 points. Your latest obscure lordship points are 1,611,500. You have completed today's base camp defense battle. You have received one consecutive win point. You have completed all the offensive and defensive battles today. You can now choose to go out and invade the racial territories of other lords to obtain more hegemony points and obscure lordship points. Looks like I can't continue to match. The rest will have to go out and invade the territories of the other lords. Zhou Zhou nodded slightly. Then, he did not waste any time. He immediately got the 2 avatars, Zhou Fight and Zhou Wu, to lead the soldiers and god spirits on the Eternal Mothership. According to the label on the universe star map, he headed to the territories of the other people of foreign races in the active universe and began to conquer them to obtain hegemony points and obscure lordship points. And he had also returned to the High Continent and entered the Reincarnation Sacred Palace to continue comprehending the Lord's laws. Zhou Wen led the Empire's army on the Supreme Continent and continued to expand into the surrounding territory from the surrounding territory of the Blazing Sun Empire. There would be no delays. Time passed quickly. At noon, Zhou Manage, who was dealing with government affairs in the Central Emperor Palace, suddenly received a message. The Yellow River Dockyard has been built. Zhou Manage looked at the virtual memorial in front of him in surprise. Very good. With the Yellow River dockyard and recruiting some dead people to change their professions to Yellow Spring fishermen, one can catch the Yellow Spring fish in the Yellow Spring River. The Yellow River fish is a rare divine item that can increase the potential of the soul and even help awaken the power of will. Even though I've already awakened the power of my will and even reached the limit of the will-like light realm, I'm only a step away from breaking through the bottleneck and entering the second realm of my will divine transformation realm. However, this Yellow River fish also has a weak effect of strengthening my willpower. Perhaps the key to breaking through the willpower bottleneck lies in this Yellow River fish. Zhou Manage smiled. He might have grasped more than one willpower inheritance. He even obtained some inheritances at the will divine transformation realm, but for some reason, he had been stuck at the will-like light realm for now, unable to make a breakthrough. He wanted to see if the Yellow River fish could help he break through. He would have fulfilled one of them the many conditions to become a supreme god realm if he successfully advanced to the will divine transformation realm. In addition, he hadn't forgotten that his master god tier elementary grade divine artifact, the 9 Nether Yellow River Spear, had even been borrowed by the Lord of the Yellow River. At that time, the other party said that a calamity had descended on the Yellow River. This should be true, but he did not know how the Yellow River tribulation the other party was talking about was going. At this moment, a young man's voice suddenly sounded. "Are you thinking about me, Regal?" Zhou Zhou looked up and saw a yellow-robed man with his back facing him. An illusory yellow river surrounded the other party, making him look even more mysterious, dignified, and terrifying. "Greetings, Your Excellency, Lord of the Yellow River," Zhou Zhou said politely. "You're welcome, Regal. I've heard a lot about you. With Regal's current strength, we can treat each other as peers," Lord of the Yellow River said and sighed. Who would have thought that it had only been a short period of time, but the weak Regal from back then was already on par with him, the Lord of the Yellow River. "Then I'll accept it respectfully." Zhou Manage smiled faintly and said, "How's the 9 Nether Yellow River Spear?" Lord of the Yellow River did not say anything, but a terrifying holy spear that emitted the aura of the netherworld appeared in front of him. It was the master god-tier divine artifact, the 9 Nether Yellow River Spear. Zhou Manage's expression changed slightly. This was because he could sense that the aura of this 9 Nether Yellow River Spear was actually much stronger than before. It had reached the level of a top-notch master god-tier divine artifact that was a master god-tier advanced grade. Moreover, it was surrounded by an unknown aura that even Zhou Manage could not understand. He was secretly alarmed. He was a Lord God spirit who had grasped King, myriad method star palm, and many bloodline inheritances. There were very few things in this world that he did not know about, but now, there was actually something on this spear that he could not see through. How could he not be shocked? It is naturally a good spear, as expected of a treasure personally nurtured by our Yellow Springs. Lord of the Yellow River caressed the spear and said with a complicated tone, "Unfortunately, it can't protect our Yellow Springs." "What do you mean?" Zhou Manage frowned. "Common people's Regal." For the first time, Lord of the Yellow River turned around, revealing the dilapidated void inside. His voice changed from its previous gentleness as he said sternly, "The Yellow Spring has already fallen. The calamity of the great cosmos will begin from now on. You bear the name of the common people's Regal. You must protect our myriad worlds. Remember not to let outsiders occupy our hometown." With that, under Zhou Manage's shocked gaze, his divine body quietly shattered and dissipated into the world. As for the Master God-tier Advanced Grade Master God-tier Divine Artifact, the 9 Nether Yellow River Spear, in his hand, had also turned into specks of yellow light and disappeared. Zhou Manage stared blankly at the empty space in front of him. What is going on? The Lord of the Yellow River had actually died. Even that Master God-tier Advanced Grade Master God Divine Artifact, the 9 Nether Yellow River Spear, had been destroyed. His expression turned extremely solemn. Then, he couldn't care less about losing a Master God-tier Advanced Grade Divine Artifact. He immediately took out Bodhi Supreme and asked, "Bodhi Supreme, what happened in the Yellow River?" An answer to a formal question. Bodhi Supreme said leisurely, but its voice was no longer as lazy as before. Sure, this time, Zhou managed did not hesitate. He felt that something big had happened, and he had to figure this out. Lord Yellow River has been killed by a group of outsiders. Bodhi Supreme said. Outsiders. Zhou managed frowned. Did the Scarlet Will occupy the Yellow River? The Scarlet Will is actually not considered an outsider to the Supreme Will. The war between them is at most a family fight for the inheritance, while those guys are real outsiders. The alternate Void clan? Zhou managed thought for a moment and asked. The alternate Void race was similar to the Void creatures, but they were the upper race of the Void creatures. Void creatures lived in the depths of space and fed on void energy. At the same time, they would devour the crystal walls of worlds and invade the myriad worlds in a vain attempt to nourish void energy through the method of destroying worlds and obtain greater growth. However, this was the difference between the alternate Void race and the Void race. The Void race was born in the two universes. At the same time, they only caused trouble in the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos. However, in the eyes of the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord, this kind of rebellion was a part of the cosmic cycle. Existences like them would not treat void creatures as enemies at all. Instead, they would treat them as their children. Therefore, even in the Lord of all races, the void race was allowed to participate. Only the creatures born in the world would think that this creature that devoured and destroyed the world was their enemy. However, the Isu clan was different. They were born in the void outside the Supreme Great Cosmos and the Crimson Great Cosmos, and called themselves ultimate void creatures. They devoured the universe crystal walls of the two universes for a living. They dreamed of breaking through the universe crystal walls of the two universes and invading and destroying them. Therefore, even the Supreme Will and the Crimson Overlord regarded this creature as an enemy. They even established a special ultimate void battlefield outside the Great Cosmos. Every 1,000 years, a group of experts from the two universes would rush to the ultimate void battlefield to resist the invading alternate void race. Almost none of the low-level life forms in the myriad worlds knew about this. However, almost all the gods knew about them in the circle of god spirits. Zhou Manage naturally knew. However, Bodhi Supreme said regretfully to Zhou Manage's answer. If only those little guys were here. Unfortunately, no. What enemy is that? Zhou Manage was shocked. That's an enemy that's fundamentally opposed to our survival. We're almost natural enemies with each other. You don't have to know much now, and I can't tell you much. You'll naturally know everything when you're strong enough in the future. After saying that, Bodhi Supreme did not say anything else. No matter how Zhou Manage called out to it, Bodhi Supreme did not speak. Zhou Manage frowned. However, after a while, his brows relaxed. Never mind. Since Bodhi Supreme said so, he would know in the future. Listen to others' one advice and eat your fill. The secret to a long life is to stay out of other people's business. Since this matter could not affect him for the time being, he should not worry so much. It would save him the trouble of not being able to do his job. Then, he thought of something. Wouldn't my Yellow River dockyard have been built for nothing since the Yellow River has already fallen? Zhou Manage asked. A chance to answer ordinary questions. The Bodhi Supreme said lazily. I did. Zhou Manage was helpless. That might not be the case. Bodhi Supreme said leisurely. When I say that the Yellow River has fallen, one mean that the Yellow River has been occupied. Moreover, the path to the netherworld from the Yellow River has been closed. It's not that the Yellow River has disappeared. The Yellow River is a place and a conceptual existence. It exists in the myriad worlds. It can be said to be spread throughout the myriad worlds. As long as the living beings in the world still remember the Yellow River will not really disappear. Therefore, even that enemy can't completely destroy the Yellow River. However, the control of the Yellow River has indeed fallen into the other party's hands. Even if the other party can't occupy it completely for the time being, existence outside the Yellow River can no longer interfere in the matters there. It's only a matter of time before they completely fall. However, if you want to obtain some benefits from the Yellow River before it completely falls, it's not impossible. Because you're an exception, your Yellow River dockyard has just been built on the Yellow Spring. In addition, You have the Yellow River token. In the myriad worlds, only you have the ability to enter the Yellow River again and do something before the Yellow River completely falls. Even though the path from the Yellow River to the Netherworld has been closed, it's no longer meaningful to create the Yellow River underworld boat and recruit the fairy spirit of the Yellow River to lead the souls of other life forms to the Netherworld. However, you can still recruit some Yellow Spring fishermen. It won't be a problem to catch some Yellow River fish near your Yellow River dockyard. Zhou managed nodded. In that case, it was fine. In fact, he wasn't too interested in recruiting the Yellow River fairy spirit. He only cared about the harvest of the Yellow River fish. Now that the Yellow River fish was temporarily fine, he didn't care about anything else. He did not have the ability to care after all. After figuring it out, he sighed and said, "Now that the Yellow River has fallen, the path of the undead to the Netherworld has been closed. In the future, the undead in the myriad worlds will probably not be able to go to the Netherworld through the Yellow River. Bodhi Supreme, what do you think this world will become in the future?" "It's simple," Bodhi Supreme said lazily. "First, there are more and more undead in the myriad worlds. Then, the law of life and death is out of order. More and more living and dead life forms will appear in the myriad worlds. In the end, perhaps our myriad worlds will become the myriad worlds ruled by the living and dead race. Of course, it's also possible that the rules of life and death will be out of order, causing the yin and yang of the myriad worlds to be out of order. Then, the foundation of the heavens will be chaotic. At that time, the Supreme can only refine its world again and let everything return to the chaos to start all over again." Zhou Manage was silent. No matter which possibility it wasn't a future he wanted to see. However, what could he do? Even the entire Yellow River had fallen. It had to be known that there was a super existence like the will of the Yellow River in the Yellow River. If such an existence could not resolve the crisis of the Yellow River, what could he, a little Karami who was not even a supreme god realm, do? He shook his head. Never mind. If the sky collapsed, the tall guy would hold it up. It was better for him to obediently complete the activity issued by the supreme will. Then, he didn't think too much about it. He opened the army interface and contacted the patriarch of the Yin Ghost races, Yin Luo, who was currently working in the 10,000 races army. Back then, the patriarch of the Yin Ghost clan, Yin Jun, had already died under his Blazing Sun army, and this true god tier of the Yin Ghost clan called Yin Luo was Yin Jun's half-brother. However, the relationship between the two of them became not very good because of the competition for the position of patriarch, especially after Yin Jun became the patriarch of the Yin Ghost race. The relationship between the two of them became even worse, and it even felt like they were mortal enemies. Later on, Yin Jun died, and this fellow was instigated by Zhou Zhou with the 10,000 Spirit Saints insight defection. Therefore, Zhou Zhou simply ordered he to be the current patriarch of the Yin Ghost clan. At the same time, he was also the region lord of the Blazing Sun Empire's Yin Ghost region. As the domain lord of the Yin Ghost region, he was currently guarding the Yin Ghost region and did not go to the Cerulean planet to help. "Your Majesty, what do you need me to do?" Yin Luo said respectfully on the virtual projection phone. Zhou Manage told the other party about the Yellow River dockyard. Then, he said, "The Yellow River dockyard has already been built. This emperor plans to send your Yin Ghost clan to the Yellow River dockyard and change your profession to a Yellow Spring fisherman to continuously fish for this emperor. A great crisis in the Yellow River will approach at any time. You have to catch as many Yellow River fish as possible before the great crisis descends." Zhou Manage said seriously. The Yellow River fish concerned whether a new Lord-level Divine Realm expert could be born among his subordinates and whether he could advance to the Will Divine Transformation Realm. Therefore, Yin Luo's responsibility was very important. "Yes, Your Majesty," Yin Luo said respectfully. There was no fear on his face. In fact, he was a little excited. Looking at His Majesty's serious attitude, this was probably a rare opportunity to make a contribution. One must do this well for His Majesty. Yin Luo, who was already dead loyal to Zhou Zhou, was determined not to seek rewards, only the favor of His Majesty. Zhou Manage nodded. then thought for a moment and said, "This emperor will go to the Yellow River with you to take a look." He still wanted to go to the Yellow River to see the true situation of the Yellow River. Otherwise, he would never be at ease. With that, he disappeared from the spot with Yen Luo. At the Yellow River, the sky was dusky. A vast yellow river descended from the sky and surged into the bottomless abyss. Yes, ordinary rivers flowed from high to low places, but the Yellow River was a magnificent divine river that flowed from low to high places. It was like a waterfall, but it was more like a river that fell to the sky. This was where the Yellow River of the Azure Heaven came from. Above the Yellow River, an ancient, dignified, majestic, mysterious, and terrifying dock stood at the side of the Yellow River. Clusters of beautiful yellow spider lilies that were as red as blood surrounded the dock in the middle, making the Yellow River dockyard look less terrifying and more gentle. At this moment, Zhou Manage and Yin Luo appeared on the dock. Is this the Yellow River? Yin Jun looked at the Yellow River in shock. Even though he was a true god tier, he had never stepped into this land. This was also the first time he had seen it today. Then, he took a deep breath and revealed a look of joy and obsession. The Yellow River Chi here is so suitable for our Een ghost race to cultivate. If I cultivate here since I was young, I'm confident that I can advance to the true god tier realm in 5,000 years. If my clansmen cultivate here, their cultivation speed can at least double. He muttered to himself. His expression was filled with surprise. This place really suited his intentions. At this moment, he was even more grateful that His Majesty had arranged such an errand for him. This job was undoubtedly a fortune for him and the Een Ghost clan. Zhou Manage ignored Yin Luo's reaction. He only looked at the vast and magnificent Yellow River. After a long time, he frowned slightly. Normally, the aura of the Yellow River should be dead silent. However, the aura of Yellow River is a little more manic and uneasy now. Looks like Yellow Rivers should have felt the same when it died. Zhou Manage took a deep breath. If it really followed the future development mentioned by the Bodhi Supreme, even if the Yellow River did not disappear, its strength would be weakened to a relatively low level, and it might even fall to an extremely ordinary mystic realm. He shook his head. Then, with a thought, he took out the Yellow River token. Even though the will of the Yellow Spring had already fallen, this Yellow River token was still somewhat useful before it completely fell. Like now, for example, Zhou Manage injected some chaotic sacred power into the Yellow River token in his hand. The Yellow River token emitted a faint yellow light that was like a water light. This yellow light covered a large area of the Yellow Springs basin in front of him. A moment later, a Yellow River fish suddenly flew out of the Yellow River and landed in Zhou Manage's hand. Zhou Manage looked over. The treasure information appeared. Treasure name, Yellow River token. Treasure grade, special tier. Treasure effect. After eating it, it can increase the soul potential of a life form. After increasing it to the limit, the consumer will awaken a will power that is suitable for them from the depths of the soul and automatically enter the will-like light realm. Treasure description, a precious fish species that can only be produced in the depths of the Yellow River. It can help life forms awaken the mysterious and supreme power of will. After he finished reading, a smile appeared on his face. It was indeed what he needed. Then, he looked at the Yellow River token. This thing was also extremely useful. It actually had the effect of commanding the Yellow River fish to gather. If not for the fact that it took too long to get one of them, he would have relied on this to fish for Yellow River fish every day. Then, he didn't hesitate. He opened his mouth and swallowed the Yellow River fish into his stomach. Then, he smacked his lips. TSK. He ate too quickly and did not notice anything. Then, he casually sat down cross-legged and began to digest the power of the Yellow River fish in his body. Yin Luo was not idle either. After he roughly took a look at the scenery of the Yellow River dockyard, he did not forget about the serious matter. He immediately entered the Yellow River dockyard and familiarized himself with the various functions of the Yellow River dockyard to prepare for future work. A moment later, Zhou Manage finished digesting the power of the Yellow River fish. He opened his eyes, which were filled with realization. I see. I was wondering why I couldn't break through to the will divine transformation realm. So the willpower I control comes from the willpower of other master god tier existences. If you want to break through to the will divine transformation realm, you have to use your own willpower to break through. I have yet to comprehend the power of my will. When I understand the power of my will, coupled with my previous accumulation, I can immediately break through and become a will divine transformation realm expert. Zhou muttered to himself. The joy on his face grew stronger. He finally knew the reason why he could not break through. Moreover, he knew how to comprehend his own willpower. That was to continuously swallow the yellow river fish. The yellow river fish was the best treasure to assist life forms in comprehending their own willpower. As long as he continued to swallow the yellow river fish and refine the power of the yellow river fish, he would be able to comprehend the power of his will sooner or later and advance to the will divine transformation realm. I need more yellow river fishes. At the thought of this, Zhou immediately looked at the yellow river zone in front of him with burning eyes. Zhou controlled the yellow river token and spent more than an hour catching more than 10 yellow spring fish in a row before refining them into his body. And yet, he felt that he had only improved a little. There was still a long way to go before he could awaken his willpower. Unless he had stayed here to fish, it was impossible for him to advance to the will divine transformation realm in a short period of time. However, he naturally could not stay here forever. Yin Luo. He stopped fishing and called Yin Luo over. Your Majesty, Yin Luo said respectfully, I'll leave everything here to you. Remember, your first mission is to capture the yellow river fish in the yellow river with all your might. You can ignore everything else. This is the yellow river token. This emperor will lend it to you temporarily. With this yellow river token, your fishing efficiency should increase greatly. Zhou threw the yellow river token to Yin Luo, who immediately took it. I understand. I will definitely mobilize all the strength of our Yin Ghost clan and do my best to catch the yellow river fish for your Majesty. Yin Luo said reverently and firmly. Do well, and there will be no lack of rewards for your race. Zhou nodded. Thank you, your Majesty. Yin Luo became happy. His Majesty's generosity was known throughout the entire High Continent, so he wondered what kind of reward His Majesty would give to their race if they fulfilled their wishes. Yin Luo was filled with anticipation. Zhou nodded. Then, he gave Yin Luo some instructions before teleporting away. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, it was already night. The blazing sun imperial capital, in the reincarnation sacred palace. Zhou Zhou slowly opened his eyes. I'm one step closer to the high-tier deity level advanced grade. Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. He was not far from becoming a true god tier. When he became a true god, he would be able to control the power of the master god tier level even without relying on the moon demon. At that time, he could use some stronger main divine artifacts to obtain even stronger strength. Then, with the supreme sacred body, he was even confident in facing existences like the 10 master god tiers without being at a disadvantage. He didn't think too much about it as he opened his personal terminal and realized that he had already received 3 reports. Zhou Zhou opened them one by one. The first was a war report from the Cerulean planet. The second was a war summary from Zhou Wen's territory expansion war. And the last was a war summary. The third general war is a summary of the first 2. Hence, Zhou Zhou looked at the last one. In the entire day, the High Continent and Cerulean planet had eliminated a total of more than 52 trillion enemies, 63,000 god spirits, and more than 200 true gods. Among them, the Cerulean planet had eliminated a total of more than 32 trillion enemies, more than 43,200 god spirits, and more than 120 true gods. As for the expansion of the Blazing Sun Empire's territory, he had killed more than 20 trillion enemies, more than 19,000 god spirits, and more than 80 true gods. After killing so many enemies, he obtained trillions of mist cores, origin crystals, skill books, equipment, basic materials, basic gem resources, lightning, life, and death elemental gems. 3,818,012,150 green bronze tier Lord Talent crystal fragments. 215 legendary tier and below Scarlet Lord Talent spheres, as well as a large number of Lord Talent crystal fragments of other levels. Time elemental gem resources were more than 3,312,000,000 units. Space elemental gems were more than 3,012,000,000 units. More than 31,220,000,000 units of divine crystals from low tier to high tier deity level. 81,800 true God tier divine crystals. More than 1,577,000,000 low tier to high tier deity level divine artifacts. 11,500 true God tier divine artifacts. 12 master God tier divine artifacts. There were a total of more than 180 million divine spark fragments, God tier medicinal herbs, God tier ingredients, God tier ores, God tier blueprints, and other treasures. 153,260 master God tier herbs, God tier ingredients, God tier ores, God tier blueprints, and other treasures. Zhou Zhou's gaze immediately landed on the 31.827 million space-time elemental gems. I can upgrade my territory now? His eyes lit up. His two-front battle was not in vain. He had gained a lot. Then, he didn't hesitate. He immediately flew out of the shrine and arrived above the capital of the blazing sun. He looked down at his capital and silently chanted upgrade in his mind. The next second, with 40 trillion units of basic materials, 1,000 high-tier, Data-level elementary, grade divine crystals, 10 trillion origin crystals, 20 billion units of space-time elemental gems, and 10 high-tier deity-level elementary grade territory tokens disappeared. A text notification appeared. Congratulations, your mid-tier deity-level advanced grade shrine, Lord's Law, has successfully advanced to the high-tier deity-level elementary grade shrine, Lord's Law. Your territory has successfully been upgraded to a high-tier deity-level elementary grade territory. Your mid-tier deity-level advanced grade divine origin augmentation formation has been upgraded to the high-tier deity-level elementary grade divine origin augmentation formation. Territory stone steel durability increased to 100 trillion/100 trillion. Your territory has expanded to 10 billion kilometers x 10 billion kilometers x 1 million km. You have expelled all the fog monsters in the territory of the new territory. The scarlet fog will not appear in any of your territories. You have received an upgrade reward. Mythical tier building blueprint treasure chest, high tier deity level elementary grade. Lord Talent notification. Your Scarlet Broodmother can be upgraded. Lord Talent notification. Your mysterious caravan has been upgraded. Lord Talent notification. The strength of the clergy of your life arc has increased. The next second, an even more dignified and loud voice sounded. The Cerulean Planet World Channel Lord announcement. Congratulations to the Lord of the Blazing Sun, becoming the first Lord to upgrade his territory to high-tier deity level elementary grade. Reward: Supreme Treasure Chest +1, Mythical Reputation Rating +3, Reputation Rating +1000, Unique Title of the Race. Glory of the Pioneer X has advanced to Glory of the Pioneer She. Cerulean Planet's entire channel's Lord announcement. Congratulations to the Blazing Sun Empire, Intermediate Grade, Lord of the Blazing Sun. Cerulean Planet's entire channel's Lord announcement. Congratulations to the Blazing Sun Empire, Intermediate Grade, Lord of the Blazing Sun. When Zhou Zhou saw the last announcement on the entire channel, a smile appeared on his face. He got the Glory of the Pioneer title again. Not bad. As long as he didn't break the streaks, he immediately checked the content of the title. Title: The Glory of the Pioneer 11. Title quality: Unique Title of the Race. Title effect 1. You are famous among the lords of the Cerulean Planet. More people admire your reputation and want to join your territory. The number of subjects that can be summoned through the daily gate of summoning plus 1,100%. Among the subjects summoned, there are 12 profession talents of the same level as the territory. Title effect 2. Same as before. Title effect 3. When you become the first Cerulean planet lord to have a true god-tier elementary grade territory, this title will be upgraded to Glory of the Pioneer 12 and unlock more title effects. Zhou Zhou nodded after reading it. However, the number of subjects he summoned increased by n times. In addition, among the subjects summoned, there would be 12 professional talents of the same level as the territory. In other words, he could summon 12 high-tiered deity-level elementary grade god spirits from the next morning onwards. Even though this was nothing to the current Zhou Zhou, who wouldn't like the 12 god spirits that were given for free. Then, he opened the supreme treasure chest. There was a statue lying quietly in the luxurious and noble supreme treasure chest. This statue was dressed in white and had a white sword hanging at its waist. Its expression was gentle, but the depths of its eyes were very cold and harsh. It was the ancestor statue of the human race on the Cerulean planet. It's actually not a racial divine artifact. Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. In the past, the Supreme Treasure Chest only rewarded race divine artifacts. However, he didn't care about it after that. This was because he knew that the effects of some top-notch human ancestor statues on Cerulean planet were not inferior to racial divine artifacts. Moreover, the ancestor statue of the human race on Cerulean planet in front of him was shockingly the top-notch one. He looked over and a text notification appeared. Treasure name: Ancestor statue of the human race on Cerulean planet by Chi. Treasure grade: Legendary tier. Treasure effect: place it in the shrine of the Imperial Ancestral Temple, and you can activate the enhancement effect of the ancestor statue on the territory, subject, or lord. Treasure introduction: Bai Qi, a famous general in China's Warring States period, an outstanding military strategist, a representative of the army scholar. Tisk. It's the killing god, Bai Qi. I wonder what his ancestral effects are like. Zhou Zhou muttered to himself. Then, he didn't think too much about it and teleported directly into the Imperial Ancestral Temple. Imperial Ancestral Temple. Zhou Zhou looked at the scene in front of him. 12 red shrines more than 20 meters tall were neatly placed on the altar. 5 of the shrines worshipped the ancestral statues of the Yellow Emperor, Sun Simiao, Gong Shuban, Liu Bei, and Zhang Hong. The other 7 shrines consecrated 7 brand new ancestor statues. There were people from Huaxia and other countries on the Cerulean planet. It was the ancestor statue of the human race on the Cerulean planet, not the ancestor statue of the human race in China. Therefore, it was quite normal for the ancestors of the Cerulean planet to have other countries. These 7 statues were all dropped by Zhou Zhou through the war. He chose the highest grade and placed it in, providing protection for the territory. At that moment, he looked at the foreign ancestor statue among the 7 statues and pondered for a moment. In the end, he still bowed politely to express his respect for these human ancestors. Then, he chose to take down the ancestral statue of the ancient Roman general, Gnaeus Pompey. To be honest, Gnaeus Pompey was a famous general in ancient military history. But I will still choose Bai Qi. He had no choice. It was completely guided by his bloodline. Then, at the moment Bai Qi's statue was placed in the shrine, the entire hall shook. Then a cold male voice sounded. I'd rather die under heavy punishment for doing what I think is right than to turn around like a coward. Zhou Zhou was stunned when he heard this. Then he shook his head slightly. These words came from Zhang Guozi, Zhongshan's Prince Zhao, how to appease the people and use troops wisely. It means, I'd rather die under heavy punishment than be a useless general. Bai Qi used this sentence to reject the Qin king's order to lead troops into battle. Unfortunately, he later died because of this sentence. He didn't think too much about it and looked at the following text notification. You have placed a legendary tier ancestor statue of the human race on the Cerulean planet in the shrine of the Imperial Ancestral Temple. Bai Qi has activated the exclusive ancestral enhancement effect, Killing God. Current offering of ancestor statue has been updated. The current ancestral enhancement effect has been updated. Zhou Zhou curiously clicked on the current ancestral enhancement effect. Ancestral enhancement, Killing God. Grade, Legendary tier. Enhancement effect 1. When the soldiers in the territory go out to fight, every time they kill an enemy of the same level, they can gather a trace of the killing god aura on their bodies. The killing god aura can deter and even kill the enemy. The more the killing god aura, the more obvious the effect of deterring the enemy and the stronger the lethality to the enemy. When 9 million strands of killing god chi were gathered, they could condense the killing god dharma laksana and let it fight with the soldiers on the battlefield. The more killing god chi gathered, the stronger the combat strength of the killing god dharma laksana. Enhancement effect 2. When the soldiers in the territory go out to fight, when they encounter a fatal disaster, they will enter an undead state. They will maintain normal movements for 10 minutes. Most of the corpses will lose their effect. The soldiers will only enter true death after 10 minutes. Enhancement effect 3. The soldiers under your command have the title of God of Slaughter. This makes them famous and can deter weak enemies. When fighting the enemy, there is a small chance that the other party will collapse without attacking. After reading it, Zhou Zhou raised his eyebrows. The enhancement effect of Bai Chi's ancestors was really not bad. As for killing 9 million enemies, how was this possible? It was naturally difficult to achieve on the cerulean planet and Earth. However, in a world like the Supreme Continent where all races competed for supremacy, the number of enemies Zhou Zhou and the others destroyed in a day was at least 1 trillion. Killing 9 million enemies of the people of foreign races and gathering 9 million strands of killing gods chi to form the killing god dharma laksana was the simplest thing for the soldiers under him. Thank you, Ancestor Bai Chi. Then, he did not stay any longer. After respectfully offering 3 incense sticks to Bai Chi's ancestor, he returned to the imperial palace. As for the reward of 3 mythical reputation rating and 1,000 reputation rating, Zhou Zhou directly ignored them. In the central imperial palace, Zhou Zhou opened the requirements to upgrade the high-tier deity level elementary grade territory to the high-tier deity level intermediate grade territory. Construction upgrade. 10 million trillion units of wood, 10 million trillion units of fine sand, 10 million trillion units of metal, 10 million divine crystals, 10 trillion origin crystals, 10 billion units of time elemental gems, 10 billion units of spatial elemental gems, 10 high-tier deity territory, 10 high-tier deity god spirits, 100,000 racial heroes, 10 high-tier deity territory tokens. I'll meet all the other conditions. It's still the time-space elemental gem. Zhou Zhou's gaze landed on the requirement for the elemental gem. A total of 40 billion space-time elemental gems. It was twice as much as the previous upgrade requirements. Fortunately, he had begun to attack the Divine Kingdom Lord faction, and the efficiency of collecting space-time elemental gems had greatly increased. Otherwise, he really wouldn't know how to collect such a large number of space-time elemental gems. Then, he looked at the number of space-time elemental gems he had left. After the upgrade just now, he still had more than 18.57 billion units of space-time elemental gems in his hands. I'm still short of more than 20 billion space-time elemental gems to upgrade my territory again. Zhou Zhou thought. Then, a smile appeared on his face. According to his gains today, as long as nothing unexpected happened tomorrow night, he would be able to collect enough space-time elemental gem resources tomorrow night to upgrade the territory again. Then, he took a deep breath and muttered to himself, "It's time to upgrade my empire." Before Zhou Zhou started the upgrade to a high-level empire, he first came to the gate of summoning and spent 200,000 trillion, which was 20 capital units of basic materials and 10,000 high-tier deity-level divine crystals to upgrade the gate of summoning to high-tier deity-level elementary grade. Congratulations, your gate of summoning has successfully been upgraded to a high-tier deity-level elementary grade building. You can summon plus 500,000 subjects every day. You will summon 30,000 professionals every day. Prompt. Under the influence of the unique title of the race, Glory of the Pioneer 11, you can summon 32,620,500 subjects every day. 30,011 professionals will definitely appear among the subjects you summon every day. Zhou Zhou nodded after reading it. The basic number of subjects summoned by the mid-tier deity-level advanced grade summoning gate was 2,965,500. After being buffed by the glory of the Pioneer 11, it directly increased by 11 times, becoming 32,625,000 people. I'm one step closer to summoning true God-tier subjects every day. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly. Then, he looked at the upgrade requirements of the Gate of Summoning. Construction upgrade. With 20 capital units, fine sand 20 capital units, metal 20 capital units, stone 20 capital units, 10,000 high-tier deity, grade intermediate divine crystals. Territory level upgraded to high-tier deity level intermediate grade. Note: 1 capital unit equals 10,000 trillion. Zhou Zhou retracted his gaze. Then he spent 2 capital units of basic materials, 5 billion mid-tier deity-level advanced grade crystals, and 5 billion basic elemental gems to upgrade the original Dragon Abyss in the Gate of Summoning to the high-tier deity-level elementary grade. Then he looked over. Building name: Original Dragon Abyss. Construction level: high-tier deity-level elementary grade. Construction effect: you can summon 6 billion white-silver tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 600 million yellow-gold tier advanced grade pure-blooded dragons, 60 million white platinum tier intermediate grade pure-blooded dragons every day from the original Dragon Abyss. 6 true god tier elementary grade dragon gods will become subjects under the Lord and have a 12% chance of summoning legendary dragons. Construction upgrade. Wood 1 capital unit, fine sand 1 capital unit, metal 1 capital unit, stone 1 capital unit, high-tier deity level elementary grade divine crystals 5 billion, basic elemental gemstone 10 billion. After reading it, Zhou Zhou nodded in satisfaction. Tomorrow, he would be able to summon 6,666,666,666 pure-blooded dragons. This was quite an explosive number among the dragon race. Soon, I'm afraid I'll have to summon all the dragons in the myriad worlds. Zhou Zhou smiled faintly. Then, he took a look at the upgrade requirements of the original Dragon Abyss and could not help but gasp. Good lord. 5 billion high-tier deity-level elementary grade divine crystals. 10 billion basic elemental gems. If not for the fact that he had the King of Loots and the effect of various titles stacking, allowing him to have 3.5 times the harvest, he might not have been able to upgrade this original Dragon Abyss. I'm probably the only one who can level up the original Dragon Abyss amongst all the lords, right? Zhou Zhou muttered in his heart. Then, he didn't think too much about it. He came to the golden imperial tablet in the shrine and took a deep breath. Then, he silently chanted the advancement in his heart. The next second, prompt: you have met all the requirements to advance to an advanced grade empire. Do you want to advance to an advanced grade empire? Upgrade. Zhou Zhou immediately said. Prompt: you have one chance to change the location of the imperial capital. Do you want to change/retain it? Retain. Zhou Zhou answered without hesitation. After absorbing the true god-tier regional territories of a few divine kingdom lord factions, the current imperial capital had already advanced to true god-tier advanced grade regional territories, not to mention the special status of the capital in the hearts of all the citizens of the Blazing Sun Empire. It was impossible for him to abandon this treasure land for nothing and choose another place to become his capital. Prompt: your choice has been confirmed. Prompt: your lord's territory, intermediate grade empire, Blazing Sun Empire, is advancing. Prompt: level up successful. Congratulations, your intermediate grade lord's territory, Blazing Sun Empire, has officially advanced to an advanced grade lord's territory, Blazing Sun Empire. Prompt: you can display your empire territory level on any channel. Zhou Zhou heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally officially advanced to an advanced grade empire. He was only a step away from becoming a divine kingdom lord. At this moment, the announcement of the new Lord of all races appeared on the entire channel. Lord of all races Lord announcement. Kudos to the human race, the Lord of the Blazing Sun, for successfully establishing the first advanced grade empire. Rewards: Lord of all races mythical tier treasure chest +1, intermediate kingdom treasure chest +1, reputation rating +100. Mythical reputation rating +10. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race. Lord of the Blazing Sun. Lord of all races announcement. Congratulations to the human race, Lord of the Blazing Sun. When Zhou Zhou saw this, the smile on his face widened, and then him opened the various channels he was in with a smile. Unsurprisingly, they were all discussing the matter of his being promoted to an advanced grade empire. In particular, the reaction on the Lord's channel was extremely intense. He advanced to an advanced grade empire tier Lord faction, just like that? I'm only AF * King Beginner Kingdom. As far as I know, among the lords of all races, even the true Lord, the Great One Lord, and the heaven-chasing Lord haven't become a beginner empire Lord faction, let alone an advanced grade empire faction. The difference is too great. My heart aches for them, competing in the same era as the perverted Lord of the Blazing Sun. Logically speaking, the true Lord, the heaven-chasing Lord, and the Great One Lord were all very strong. One of them alone was enough to compete for the position of the Lord of all races. However, the Lord of the Blazing Sun was too abnormal. A human lord beat the three of them until they didn't even dare to appear. I strongly suggest that the Lord of the Blazing Sun be excluded from the Lord of all races. How can this still be a competition? I strongly agree. The highest level Lord faction among my ethnicity is only an advanced grade empire tier Lord faction. How is this Lord of the Blazing Sun still a Lord of all races? It's not an exaggeration to say that he is a race faction. Based on the speed at which he is advancing as a Lord, I reckon that it won't be long before we call him His Excellency, Lord of the Divine Kingdom. No, a Divine Kingdom Lord faction is completely different from an Empire tier Lord faction and a Kingdom level Lord faction. There are too many advancement requirements. It will be very difficult for the Lord of the Blazing Sun to advance to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction in a short period of time. Are you sure? I also think that it shall be very difficult for the Lord of the Blazing Sun to advance to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. A ethnicity faction with a Divine Kingdom Lord faction can at least call themselves an intermediate grade bloodline race faction. The Lord of the Blazing Sun has the backing of the human race. His foundation is too weak, so it will be very difficult for him to advance to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. I think it's a little difficult too. I think this Lord of all races competition shall end soon when he advances to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Who can withstand a Divine Kingdom Lord faction mixed in with our level? Zhou Zhou acknowledged slightly when him saw their discussion. Divine Kingdom Lord factions were indeed very different from the previous Empire Lord factions and Kingdom Lord factions. It was extremely difficult to advance to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. This could be seen from the 5 human empires. They clearly had the protection of 5 true God-tier existences, but none of them have ever been promoted to a Divine Kingdom Lord faction. Thinking of this, he opened the Advanced Empire interface. Empire name, Blazing Sun Empire. King, Blazing Sun Emperor. Empire level, Advanced Grade Empire. Imperial flag, all stars cover the sun. Imperial Army, Blazing Sun Army, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Monster Army, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Dragon God Army, True God Tier Advanced Grade. 10,000 Races Army, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Heavenly Map Army, True God Tier Advanced Grade. Homeland Defense Army, Mid-Tier Deity Level Intermediate Grade. Requirements for advancing to the Beginner Divine Kingdom. Territory level advances to the True God Tier Elementary Grade. Capital Region level advances to High Tier Deity Level. 1,000 True God Tier Elementary Grade Divine Crystals. Conquer 10 high-level Scarlet Empires under the Crimson Overlord, 0/10. Conquer 5 high-level empires that are not under the Crimson Overlord, 0 out of 5. Conquer any beginner-level Divine Kingdom Lord faction and obtain its True God Tier Elementary Grade Divine Token, 0/1. 10 million independent regional territories, 100,000 racial heroes, 1,000 God Spirit worshippers of your own race, 1 racial divine artifact of your own race, January 1st. 10 worship true God spirits of your own race. Strength of the Lord yourself reaches True God Tier Elementary Grade and complete a Founding War once, 0/1. Zhou Zhou frowned deeply after reading it. There's something wrong with this promotion request. Ordinary advanced grade empires definitely don't have so many requirements to advance to a beginner grade divine kingdom, and so many perverted requests. He looked at the conditions needed to advance to a beginner divine kingdom. The first part was fine. However, something was wrong with the last 3 lines. Under normal circumstances, one only needed 3 true god tiers to consecrate an elementary grade divine kingdom. However, this actually required 10 worshipped true gods. It had more than tripled. The second last rule, the Lord's strength to reach true god tier elementary grade. This was definitely not a requirement for the natives. One only needed to have 3 worshipped true gods. There had never been any requirements for the individual strength of a lord. It was extremely difficult for the lords to increase their strength due to the special reasons of the lords themselves. This could be seen from how slowly Zhou Zhou's strength increased in the early stages. Therefore, even the Supreme Will was lenient to the lords and did not have any requirements for their individual strength. It was fine as long as there was a worshipped true god in their lord's faction. This condition actually changed. Was this change applicable to all the lords, or was it only targeted at the lord of all races? Zhou Zhou could not understand, so he asked the Supreme Will cautiously. The Supreme Will did not reply to him, so Zhou Zhou could only pay the price of an ordinary question and ask Bodhi Supreme. In the end, he received an answer that made him sad. The newly added and modified promotion rules were only targeted at the lord of all races. The promotion requirements of the local lord factions had not changed. Isn't this F*** targeting me? Zhou Zhou had a mental breakdown. He was the only one who was most likely to advance to the divine kingdom lord level at this stage among the lords. However, such a change suddenly appeared. Wasn't this targeting him or something? At this moment, a line of text appeared in front of Zhou Zhou. The text notification was very short, and Zhou Zhou broke out in cold sweat. Special notification from the Supreme Will. Do you have a problem with that? Zhou Zhou. He forced a smile on his face and clapped his hands. There's no such thing. I know that this is a test for us. Lord Supreme Will, don't worry. I will definitely complete the requirements to advance to a beginner divine kingdom and strive to advance as soon as possible. Special notification from the Supreme Will. This is not targeted at you. It's just that I've placed a lot of hope on the lords of all races. If your advancement requirements are the same as the local lords, why did one choose you to participate in the competition of the myriad races? Special notification from the Supreme Will. I want the most outstanding and powerful lord of all races, not an ordinary lord. I understand. Thank you, Lord Supreme Will, for clearing my doubts. Zhou Zhou immediately said. The Supreme Will did not reply. Zhou Zhou waited for a while. When he realized that there was still nothing, he secretly wiped the cold sweat off his head. D***MN, you scare me to death. This was the first time the Supreme Will had asked him such a human-like question. In the past, he could not clearly feel that he had obtained the favor of the Supreme Will, unlike now. It seemed like this big shot was paying attention to him at all times, so much so that even his complaints were heard. At this moment, another line of text appeared. Special reminder from the Supreme Will. In the future, ask the Bodhi Supreme directly if you have ordinary questions. Don't ask me casually. I'm very busy, understand? I understand. I understand. Zhou Zhou hurriedly said, and could only forcefully divert his attention and look at the last condition for establishing the divine kingdom. Complete a founding battle? I've never heard of this. Zhou Zhou had a headache. He subconsciously wanted to ask the Supreme Will, but then he thought of something and shivered. He immediately changed his words and asked Bodhi Supreme. As for this question, well, you'll naturally know when you want to establish the divine kingdom. It's not good for me to reveal it because this is the new founding event established by the Supreme Will. Don't ask the Supreme Will either. Bodhi Supreme actually acted as though it could not say anything. Zhou Zhou could only ask, is it difficult? Is it dangerous? Bodhi Supreme did not speak. Zhou Zhou frowned slightly. It could not even tell him that. It seemed that he could only deal with it when the time came. Hopefully, it won't be too difficult. However, with my current strength and faction, if even one can't survive this so-called founding war, all the lords in the world probably won't be able to advance to divine kingdom level. At the thought of this, Zhou Zhou felt much more relaxed. he should be able to defeat that founding war, right? At this moment, Zheng Yuanqi sent a message to celebrate the Blazing Sun Empire becoming an advanced great empire. When Zhou Zhou saw this, he waved his hand and handed the celebration of the advancement to the empire to the other party. When the time came, he could just get Zhou managed to appear when he was required. Zheng Yuanqi immediately accepted the order and immediately went to do it. On Zhou Zhou's side, after this interruption, he stopped thinking about the founding war and turned to look at the reward for building an advanced empire. First was the mythical tier treasure chest. He opened the treasure chest and saw a total of 110 bottles of potions neatly placed inside. Among them, 100 bottles of true God tier potential advancement potion could increase the potential of a life form to the level of true God tier advanced grade. The other 10 bottles were Master God tier potential advancement potions that could increase the potential of life forms to the Master God tier advanced grade. Not bad. Zhou Zhou was quite satisfied when he saw this. In the mythical tier treasure chest rewarded by the intermediate grade empire last time, he was only rewarded with 10 bottles of true God tier potential advancement potion and 1 bottle of Master God tier potential advancement potion. This time, it was 10 times more, which was really worth it.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe.